Okay, our next guest, and we have in studio with us Koshana Kweli, also known as the Manifester. She has spent over 12 years researching and teaching on African spiritual science and the power of the human brain. She's currently working on her bachelor's degree in communications. She also holds degrees in child and family education, as well as the liberal arts and sciences. She's a certified wellness coach, a radio personality on the Superconscious outlet, heard on Blog Talk Radio, and a founding member of the well-known organization, The Source. Koshana, welcome to KPFK.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. This is amazing.
And so today you want to talk to us about rewiring your African God consciousness.
Yes.
Yeah. What is that about?
Well, we experience some atrocious things in our experience on this planet. We all know and we're all recognizing or now discovering our true history, our true essence. However, after experiencing 400 years of slavery, even though we've been physically freed, we still suffer from a mental slavery, mental bondage. And so you actually have to decide to deliberately rewire your consciousness. If you haven't been deliberately rewiring your consciousness, you most likely have the same program that our ancestors were installed with 400 years ago, which is don't like your own color, don't like your brothers and sisters. You might feel like, we're angry, we're not smiling. There's a lot of things that your reality will take shape in because of this program. So once we recognize, like Baba Kara teaches us, that our thoughts create our reality, we have to realize that we are creating this reality with these slave thoughts. And once we recognize that, then we can become deliberate creators and change those thoughts.
So is that akin to cell memory?
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's our neurons. Our neurons, we have nerve cells. So our nerve cells communicate and they hold a memory. And just like our genetics hold memory, from every experience we've ever had, we hold this memory. So our nerve cells are wired to have a certain program, a certain memory, a certain experience. So everywhere your nerve cells are wired, you have an experience. We have over 100 billion nerve cells in our brain right now, over that. And that's more than all of the elementary particles in our universe. These nerve cells create our entire reality. And now they're wired through your experiences. Whatever you learn, whatever has happened to you in your life, wires these nerve cells to create your reality. And if you're not aware of that, you may think that your reality is permanently stuck in what we see now, as far as our families are being abused, there's people being shot and killed. This is the reality that a lot of black people are experiencing. They're hardwired to experience that reality. And it started 400 years ago when these neurons were connected this way. So understanding how our brain really works from a scientific way, not just on a philosophical way or just thinking positive, but actually understanding how your brain works, then you can truly change your reality. And it can change in so many ways. I've experienced magic. So it doesn't have to make logical sense, but you have to rewire your neural networks to create a reality that you love to live.
So is this what's meant by neuroplasticity, the fact that we can actually change our brain?
You can reinvent your brain. You can reorganize your brain. Up until the 80s, neuroscientists believed that our brain was hardwired. And when we say hardwired, we give the example of how we're hardwired to speak. So we do this naturally. Up into the 80s, they thought your brain was hardwired. So whatever neural pathways you created or whatever experiences or talents you created as a child, from a childhood to adulthood, that was all you had. If you dealt with any brain injuries, there was nothing you could do about it. If you lost your memory of your grandmother, because when we deal with brain injuries, we lose memories of certain things. If that happens to you, there was nothing they could do to help you. Now, after the 80s, when they started noticing that people who were going blind started to, after a year of them learning to read Braille, their visual cortex, the same area of their brain that was shrinking because they were going blind, started to grow and started to become activated again. So they realized that your brain can be rewired. So that, in other words, instead of you seeing through your eyeballs, once you learn to read Braille, you're seeing through your fingertips. That's a completely different wiring. You're wired to see through your eyeballs, but you can change it, which means a lot of things that we think we have to do, or we can't fly, or we can't levitate, or we can't do, all the limits that we have in our brain, we can rewire that.
So you're talking about, 400 years of history. How does that that cell memory transfer over generations?
Well, there's a thing called epigenetics. And what epigenetics means is your environment and your experiences changes you genetically. Okay, so when we go through an experience, our brain changes. Every experience, that's what neuroplasticity is. Everything you learn, everything you experience changes the shape of your brain. So when we went through 400 years of slavery, it changed the shape of our brain and it actually changed our genetic memory code. That's why it's very hard for us to go all the way back to Kemet or tap back into that ancestral history that we have. We've been reprogrammed to be slaves. And this was done deliberately. They planned on having you become a slave for the rest of your existence on this planet, hundreds of years. And what happened was they didn't know that you can rewire that you weren't permanently stuck thinking these thoughts. You weren't permanently stuck thinking slave thoughts, that you could actually change it. And that's why we adapt so quickly. I think that was the biggest surprise probably in the 80s when they realized you weren't hardwired.
That we're still here.
That we're still here. Wow, how are they so resilient? What's going on? What's going on with their brain that we can put them through 400 years of conditioning to create a slave that would be a slave willingly? So 400 years of me beating you, me turning you against your brothers and sisters, me wiring you to have a certain behavior pattern, a certain way of treating your children, all of this, 400 years of me doing that, and you still come back and bounce right back, and within 100 and some odd years you have a black president. It's like, how did you do that? And so I honestly feel that that's what made them start to study deeper on how this wiring is really happening in our brains, that we can actually change it, because they saw with us that we weren't wired and we weren't permanently hardwired to be a slave.
So for me, the $64,000 question then is, how do we rewire our brains?
Deliberately. That's the most important part. You cannot expect this to happen without actually putting some kind of action into it. You actually have to deliberately rewire your brain. That means when you find yourself thinking these negative thoughts, when you find yourself thinking poverty thoughts, and I want to get deeper into your brain and how that works further into the interview, but when you find yourself thinking these poverty thoughts, you have to deliberately change your thinking. You cannot sit and watch TV for 24 hours and allow the TV to think for you. You have to become a creator in this existence. If you're not doing that, if you're not using your mind to create reality, then you're just wasting your life.
So where in your opinion does the mind reside, and what are thoughts?
Well, neuroscientists say that your mind is your brain in action. It's what your brain does. We have, like I said earlier, over 100 billion neurons, nerve cells in our brain, and they send electrical chemical impulses between each other. They communicate, just like me and you are communicating. So they share information, they share memories, they store all this information between each other. That communication, those electrical impulses, that is what creates your mind. Those are your thoughts. Those are not just your thoughts, they're your beliefs, they're your memories, they're your skills. The neurons are your grandmother. They're your uncle. Everything in your brain, everything in your reality is being created because of these electrical impulses that are firing in your brain.
Wow.
Wow, this is really exciting stuff. You've given us some good tools of understanding. So we're going to briefly take a station break, and then we're going to get right back to this exciting topic.
Thank you.
This is KPFK 90.7 FM, Los Angeles, 98.7 Santa Barbara, 93.7 San Diego, 99.5 Ridgecrest and China Lake, and streaming on the World Wide Web at kpfk.org. This is Inner Visions, an African spiritual perspective, featuring Dr. Mary Kara, Sister Kamal, and Reverend Amadi Siddiqui Hines. And we want to invite our listeners to stay tuned, because immediately following Inner Visions, we invite you to stay tuned for the Tom Hartman Show, which airs from 2 to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And you will hear political commentary and commentary on current events.
And we'll be right back with Koshana Kweli.
Okay.
Listen to Uprising, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m.
Okay.
We're back on Innovations with Koshana Kweli, and we're discussing rewiring your African God consciousness. So talk to us about the God consciousness.
Well, one of the things that I experienced about 11 years ago, when I went through my awakening, which is the word we're using now for all of us who are coming through this conscious shift, I connected with a high energy. I knew it was my ancestors. And they began to instruct me and tell me that I was going to go out and I was going to teach. This was 11 years ago. I had no idea what I was supposed to teach. They told me, this is happening to you because you are the one to do this. I actually connected with a real powerful energy. I use the word God because that's the word we're used to using. But it wasn't something that was outside of me. It was something that happened inside of me. And we all experience that fleeting moment of clarity, that fleeting moment of pure love where you're not holding grudges and you're just really loving and you're really enjoying. That's our true nature. That is who we really are. This depression that we're going through and the weirdnesses where we can't open up to each other, we can't express ourselves, we're protecting our thoughts, which is cognitive dissonance, what Frantz Fanon teaches is when you're protecting your thoughts. That's why we have a hard time in our community right now communicating with each other. We're protecting our good thoughts, but we're letting out the bad ones. So we don't want to share the good ones. But when we start to open up to each other, this consciousness comes in you. A universal consciousness. It's not just one individual, but it's a God consciousness that we all begin to communicate. What happens with your neurons? Right now, our neurons are communicating with each other, right? Right hemisphere, left hemisphere, everything's communicating. When we're sitting in this room right now, my neurons are communicating with your neurons as well. Now, when I'm open and I'm sending love, we have what is called like a telepathy. It's called neural resonance. We all vibe the same energy. It becomes a God consciousness, literally. That's why when you see everyone not having fear, like what we witnessed at KRST, it was such a clear energy this Sunday. Last Sunday. Everyone was able to express themselves. They weren't guarding themselves. They weren't guarding their thoughts. So it came out very clear. And all of a sudden we were realizing we can understand each other. Wow, you do love me. I do love you. And that's why that God consciousness is so important to rebuild. Because that's what we really are. That's the Unter. That's the Ma'at inside of us. And we all feel it. I've just learned to really let it be me and not resist it. I want to make my Rev proud.
So we were talking about the generational extension of this trauma that we've experienced. How can we create new neural pathways in order to recreate a new reality?
The first and easiest way is with your words. Your words rewire your brain. And if you notice, if you say something positive, you have a chemical release. You have a feeling. Positive words make you feel good. Bad words make you feel bad. And when you feel bad, you're rewiring your brain to have negative experiences. When you feel good, you're wiring your brain to have good experiences. So your words is the quickest way to rewire you. It's the easiest thing to do, to speak positive on your life. That sends a connection in your brain. Your brain actually forges a neural connection just based on your words. Then it forges these neural connections based on the movies you're watching, based on the books you're reading. All of these things. And you make the choice on what you choose to put into your body, what you feed your neurons, what information you're giving it. Anything you practice over and over and over again will become your new reality. Anything. Just like we learned how to drive a car. We did that over and over. In the beginning, we were at 10 and 2. We were looking out the rearview mirror. We couldn't take our hands off the steering wheel. Next thing you know, we're putting makeup on, driving, because it gets wired after doing it over and over again. So if you want to become a scientist, if you want to become a doctor, if you want to become anything, read and study on it. Give it all 5 years, 6 years of studying, and it becomes you. Anything, because it changes your cerebral architect. Anything you learn changes you. So college is changing you. Sitting at Mary Carra Spiritual Center, that's changing you. Every time you're learning something, your brain is literally changing. And you're creating new neural pathways. And if you keep doing it over and over again, you strengthen that connection, which makes this a stronger reality for you, just like we've done everything else. We neurally wired ourselves to say the negative things that we say. We've gotten into a custom of it, which, of course, we know that our experiences caused it. But we talk that way. I don't know, back when I was programmed oppositely, I remember we would call each other and automatically it would be to complain about something. Girl, my back hurt. Girl, my head. Oh, did I tell you that the kids did this? We're wiring that. We're constantly feeding that. Now we are becoming, and I'm not trying to be harsh, but we're becoming the slave master in our own consciousness. We don't need anyone to tell us negative things anymore. We're saying it automatically. So to change that, we have to change our words literally. It has to change. The words have to match what we want. And that's how we wire it in. The next way is to write things down. Write it down. You activate the reticular activating system in your brain, which are a group of nerve cells. And their jobs is to regulate the urgent information from the non-urgent information. So when you write something down, you activate those nerve cells to attract to you the things that are important and the things that are not important. So you can write things down to activate that, to rewire that consciousness. You can speak it into existence and read books. Read. I look at read and I see re-add, like literally rewiring your mind based on what you're reading.
Wow. Well, Sister Kweli, this is some powerful stuff you're sharing with us. Now, one of the traditional tools of white supremacy racism has been terrorism. And so I would like to ask you, how can we use these tools to deal with the prime, focus of terrorism, which is to create fear, to keep a person sort of limited? So how can we use these tools to deal with our fearful emotions that sometimes block us?
Well, the first thing we have to recognize is everything is your thoughts. Everything in this reality is your thoughts. Every single thing. So when you find yourself thinking fearful thoughts, you need to recognize that you're going to create that. When we think fearful thoughts, our limbic brain, which is the second brain, is the chemical brain that controls your emotions. It shuts down your frontal lobes. Your frontal lobes is the part of your brain, the seat of your conscious awareness, the part of your brain where me and you live. That's where our personality is. This is our conscious mind, is our frontal lobes, our frontal neocortex, that frontal area, right? When you're in fear, your brain literally shuts down your frontal lobe. So you're not able to think constructively. You're not able to think critically. You're not able to figure out anything. That's why we get into fight or flight mode. So either we're going to fight or we're going to run from something. 400 years of us being in that state has shut down our frontal lobes. So when we're like, why can't we nation build? What? I know you have a business. I have a business. Where's the misconnect? Our frontal lobes they've even shrunk. They're even shaped differently because your brain literally changes shape. It's like plastic. So 400 years of somebody forcing you to be in fear, and they did this in they actually used a complete strategy. They didn't just make you afraid by yelling at you or things of that nature. They made sure that they put ugly pictures about you everywhere you went. They made sure that your restaurants were dirty. They made sure that they hung your family on trees so you can see that. They made sure to have your kids come out. So they did this deliberately to have you in such a state of fear that you would never be able to figure your way out. You would never, and we have passed that down genetically. Those are the memories. Our genetic code changes based on our experiences, based on our environment. So those are the memories that we're passing down to our children. Then we raise them, we beat them, we teach them the same fear. And for fear to even work, you have to teach it to the body too. So they not only programmed your mind to have fear, but they beat fear into you. They beat it into you so that you would experience it physically, because your body has to understand what your mind understands intellectually, your body understands emotionally. So they trained you to have fear, and then your body becomes addicted to it, just like any other addiction. Fear is a chemical. So a person addicted to cigarettes, their conscious mind is saying, I don't want to smoke. I know that it's killing me. I read the Surgeon General warning. I know that it's toxic. But the body that doesn't have a conscious mind, it's an unconscious body. It has an unconscious mind. All it does is feel. It now wants the fear. It wants it. It's addicted to it. So it bypasses that frontal lobe. It bypasses all the constructive, critical thinking. And it says, give me whatever I'm craving. We are addicted to fear because of 400 years of being forced through whipping, beating, and torture on our bodies, literally. Our bodies have become addicted to it. So if you notice that we get excited when we get drama going or any type of television program, it's a literal chemical addiction. And then just like Brother Eugene Brown, he has a documentary called Africans in Asia. It's really good. You have to watch it. But he talks about that same fear being passed to your baby, just like a crack addiction. So we've been passing fear down to our babies, and fear is shutting down our frontal lobes. Your frontal lobes even control your sexual behavior. So when we have our children all of a sudden becoming open to different lifestyles, we have to understand that fear is doing that to them. They're in survival and fight and flight mode, and we've been passing it down for hundreds of years. Their frontal lobes are completely shut down. Fear also eats at the hippocampus. It actually eats away at that. So there's a chemical release called cortisol. Cortisol is literally like an acid in your brain. So when we're under fear, this cortisol is being released in our brain and it's eating at our hippocampus. 400 years of fear, I don't even know if we have a hippocampus anymore. That's how bad that we've gone through this traumatization.
So Sister Koshana, how do we deal with that fear then?
Well, like I said earlier, the first thing to recognize, which is so beautiful because our ancestors gave us this knowledge, was that all of this is just our thoughts. And you control your thoughts. You decide what you're going to think. You decide what you're going to eat. You decide what you're going to read. You decide all of that.
Kweli, let me interject the words of our ancestors, the teachings of Ptah.
Yes.
Which says, it is Ptah, the creative principle, a form of Ra, the most great, who has given existence to all the divine powers and to their essences through his heart, mind, and tongue. Thus it came to pass that the heart, mind, and tongue ruled all the other members through teaching that Ptah, the creative principle, is within every body as heart and mind, and within every mouth as tongue. Of all the divine powers, of all humankind, of cattle, of all creeping things, of all living things. And he thinks his heart and mind, and commands his tongue whatever he wishes. Reach back and bring those ancestral teachings into today.
Yes.
As neuroscience,
and it's exactly what they were talking about, our
Precisely.
central nervous system. We are so excited about knowledge of self. We're like, oh, knowledge, that's our favorite thing to say, know thyself. Our ancestors were talking about your central nervous system the whole time. Like, they were telling you about your neurons. They were talking about brain science, how your mind worked. That is why they were able to build pyramids. This is why they were able to do all of these things. Right now, the program was not meant for you to be physically in slavery forever. Their program was meant for you to be mentally in slavery. So now you have to see that because you have abilities that we have yet to even open up to understand. What I've been doing, this brother here that's in the studio with us right now, I drew him with a crayon and a piece of paper, just like a kid. And I drew it the day after his birthday. Never met him before. Showed up at my house a week, maybe 2 weeks after I drew the picture. That is our ancestors' science. That is how real this is. It doesn't have to make logical sense to your left brain. Your brain is only, the left hemisphere of your brain is only to make things consecutive and add up for you. But your right hemisphere is for expansion. It's for creativity. So when you tap into that, you have full control over your reality. Fully in control. And this is why they want you to stay in fear. Because if you're in fear, you'll never realize that. You'll always be trying to pay your bills. That's your only goal, is to pay bills and survive. How would you ever figure out that you could take a crayon and draw your reality?
Wow. I want to ask you something. I know our time is kind of running low, but so first of all, it seems like then it's our focus. Then what we choose to focus on is what's going to be activated and grow in our lives, right? So my question though is that how are you using this understanding as it relates to your work with youth, and in particular your own children?
Oh, I do. I teach metaphysics for children. I've been having the most amazing experiences with my babies. They're kind of the catalyst to help me get into that field of energy, that quantum space that we're talking about, that we're always into quantum physics. Is really like being in a now happy space that children are always in that quantum field. They're always in the imaginary land. I have a niece right now who recently, her mother was about to be homeless. She had 30 days to find a place to stay. My niece is 11 years old. She had 30 days to find a place to stay. It was about a week up until the day that she had to move. I sat down with my niece. I said, I want you to draw your mother a place to live with a crayon. She drew not a building with 2 windows and chimney. She drew a literal blueprint, a floor plan, where the living room was going to be, where the kitchen would be, and her mother was so scared, oh my goodness, what we're going to do. Within days of this baby drawing this picture, this apartment manifested, and it is identical. It's not kind of like the apartment. It's the exact floor plan to a T. And I asked my niece, I said, baby, did you ever doubt yourself when you made this picture? Did you ever feel like it wouldn't happen? She said, no, auntie, you told me I could do it, and I did it. And that was how quick kids get it. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's probably 1 million people listening to this interview. How many of you are going to actually go out and get a crayon and a piece of paper and test and see if this is the truth? This is our ancestors' knowledge. Our ancestors put the writing on the walls. They put our knowledge everywhere. They were always into writing things down. When our ancestors wrote things down, they believed it made them real. So that makes things immortal. When you draw them and you write them down, it makes them real. That's our ancient ancestor science. It's not hocus pocus. And all along, scientifically, it's just been your neurons. And we've always thought it was something out there or something just cosmically happening, but it's actually just happening in your brain.
We've been speaking with Koshana Kweli, also known as the Manifester, also known as the Crayon Manifester. We're going to do a few announcements. So if she comes to your house and you find crayons missing, right. She's somewhere manifesting.
I have colored pencils in my purse as we speak. I colored my money brown. That's how we created the first black president.
How wonderful.
2 years we colored our money brown, put first black president, and he manifested.
Work, girl. That's powerful, indeed. Every other Thursday, with next Thursday being the next class at 7 o'clock p.m., Unity invites you to a comprehensive class taught by Saba Simsasa Baset for lessons in the Medu, the divine language of our ancestors. These classes are filled with Kemetic spirituality, teachings, and understanding. Also, on Monday, Metamorphosis at KRST Unity Center, tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. This is truly a transformative workshop class gathering. I know that when you leave, you'll feel empowered, and the rest of your classmates will too. You can experience this energy every Monday at 6 o'clock p.m. Stop by and see what this class has in store for you. KRST Unity welcomes ASCAC, the Association for the Study of Classical African Civilizations, Friday, December the 5th, and Saturday, December the 4th, and Saturday, December the 5th. The overall theme is Black History Matters, with a focus on the restoring and increasing the membership of ASCAC regions around this country. On Friday, we will be gathering at SO1 Books, located at 4327 Degnan, California. Telephone number 323-290-1048. I will be a keynote speaker for that event.
KRST Unity welcomes Brother AfRAkan Kweli and his wife, Mary Ra Kweli, on Saturday, December 12th at 6 o'clock p.m. They will be lecturing on African history, civilizations, religion, and culture. They present lively and dynamic multimedia productions and videos based on their extensive study and travel on the African continent. They also reveal startling and profound information on the African origin of many of the concepts and symbols now utilized by the Western world. Remember to arrive early. Seats will be at a premium. There is a small donation. Call the center at 323-759-7567 for more information. Also, the KRST Unity Winter Solstice Dance and Fish Fry will take place on Friday, December 18th from 6 p.m. to midnight. This will be the last equinoxes and solstices event for the year. We want all of the community to come out and help us celebrate another great year of transformation and fellowship. You know how we throw down, so don't miss it at 7825 Southwestern Avenue in Los Angeles. The season of Kwanzaa begins December 26th, and it is celebrating its 50th year anniversary. KRST participates every year and looks forward to bringing you this wonderful event. We usually take Nia, which means purpose, as our mission, and that will be December 30th at 6 o'clock p.m., so stay tuned for more information. Professor Griff and Siddiqui Bakari, lecturer Brother Jay of X-Clan, will be at KRST on Sunday, January 31st, 2016, at 3 o'clock p.m. at KRST Unity. It's going to be live, so don't miss this event. There is a donation requested. Call the center at 323-759-7567 for more information.
Saturday, December the 5th, the Black Businesswoman Rock Conference and Expo. It's going to be held at the Pasadena Convention Center. That is from 3 o'clock until 10 o'clock p.m. at the Pasadena Convention Center. Nappywood celebrates Los Angeles Natural Hair Ambassadors. That's taking place on Sunday, the 13th of December from 4 until 7 o'clock p.m. Honoring black women and their natural hair. That's what it's all about. It's a holiday pop-up affair with wine tasting, fashion gifts, updo hair demos, and lots of everything to make African women proud of their wonderful nappy hair.
On December 12th, Otis Sanders, who we had on our show last week, he will be signing his book, Always and Forever Love, which is about couples and their stories who have been together for 20 plus years. He will be at Zara's Books and Things from 2 to 4 p.m. on December 12th, and Zara's is located at 900 North La Brea in Inglewood.
And remember to stay tuned after Intervisions for the Tom Hartman Show, airing from 2 to 3 p.m. today.
And that wonderful reggae show that precedes our show on every Monday at 11 o'clock. Final statements, comments, Kweli?
Pretty much just really become deliberate in your life. Take time out to create your life. Do the things that you know you need to do to make yourself happy and positive. Speak positive words on your life and on everyone who comes into existence, and you will create heaven on earth.
Okay, we also need to mention the Afiba Center and the great programs that they have there at 5730 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. Telephone number 323-292-5550.
And Sister Kweli, can you tell us just briefly about the source?
Oh, the Source is an organization, My God King Grasshopper, you guys all know, and a few other members. We founded an organization in Lancaster, or Antelope Valley, where we are bringing a group of teachers together that offer different information to the community at a low price. It's not very expensive. And we just want to uplift and awaken our community the best way we can. So we're here to support other people. So the Source will be at all these events. That's our goal, is to be a support system for our community.
Do you have contact information?
Yes, you can contact myself at 323-901-1745. And the actual DVD for the event that was just done, teaching deeper on neuroscience, will be available shortly. So if you're interested in getting a copy, just call 323-901-1745. And you can follow us on YouTube, Super Conscious Outlet on YouTube.
Well, we're so proud of your answering the call, Kweli.
Aw, thank you,
have
Baba.
taken that space and taken it to another level. And we look forward to your continued participation with Intervision.
I love you, Baba. Thank you for just helping in my transformation. You've been amazing for me.
Well, bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Imani.
And I love God, King Grasshopper. Shout out to him.
Indeed, Brother Grasshopper. Thank you, D'Angelo, Kamasi, Kamal. This is Mary Kara.
Hotel.
Peace and love.
Ashe.
Excellent.
Thank you. You're going to put me on the spot. I feel amazing. I feel accomplished. I feel like you can have anything you ask for. And I'm getting everything I asked for, so I feel really good.
Could I ask you a question as well? Okay. Point tag. So, is there anything, because we often be in the moment, is there anything you want to say for extras that you may have want to add?
one of the things that we as African people, we have to make sure that our affirmations, the words that we're speaking, I want to emphasize the words more than anything else, is the words that we're speaking about our community and about our conditions. When we change those words, we will literally change our reality. So if there's anything that I want to drill in the most is our words, our divine language that you speak about so much and you push on us so much. Our divine language is very important. That's going to shift our reality. So speak it into existence. And that's one of the things we do the best. We create words to this day. Mm-hmm. We're still putting new words in the dictionary. So speak it into existence. That's where our power lies. That's it.
Divine teacher.
Ashe.
Divine teacher.
It was so fun.
I want to say bomb. Everybody's just tuned in. Like, I'm a filler. I can hear everybody's vibration, ears and everything, heart. It's tuned into like she was God. Well, she is.
We are God. We are God. And I think that's the best. I think for me, it really kicks in when you admit it out loud. And you're not afraid to say it because you allow everyone else to admit that they're God too. And we all know it. We all feel it. We've all had contact with it. We've all felt it come through our beings. But when we surrender and say, this is what it really is, it takes over your life. And it took over mine. And it's still unfolding. It's just amazing. Where'd she go?
That's not accidental. This is on purpose. The neurons understood to amplify what was going on. Her speech amplified us.